What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. In case you don't know, Tasty Tuesday is a show where we talk about gaming news of the prior week. My name's Seth.
I'm Josh.
Chevy.
Chris.
And we have 5 news stories to talk about today, so let's get into it. Our first story of the day is The Division for PS4 and Xbox One will let you change visual settings to improve frame rate. The dev says, I don't know another game that does that. One of the things they gave an example of is you can change lighting to be softer or to turn that off so the game runs better. I have a lot of opinions on this, but I want to know your guys' opinion on it first. So, what do you guys think?
Well, real quick, Warframe lets you do it.
That's what I was going to say.
So,
Warframe does it. Warframe does a lot of things.
Yeah.
Really good. So,
but no, that's good. I've used it in Warframe a couple times to, especially in like survival mode when you got a bunch of stuff going on. I just turn off like gore effects and stuff like that. And, I mean, it's just another option. So, it's pretty much where I'm at on that.
That's kind of thing. Is more options to me is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is weird that you can actually improve performance of like a static system like a console. I mean, with with computers, it's everybody has a hodgepodge of their own shit. So, being able to change how the game is, visually to make it run better, makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It is very weird to me that they would do that for console. Is it a plus? Definitely, because I mean, you're right. If you don't really care about lighting or anything like their shadows or something like that, I would turn shadows off fucking regardless.
well, here's where I'm at, and I want to get to you in a sec, Chris. But my thing is, it's a really interesting thing to me because in one way I find it positive, and I think most games, I like the idea of them letting you optimize a game on a console.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it, though, that's really confusing for me, though, is it's like they should be optimizing the game on their own anyway. So it's like how, at the point where they're telling you can improve the frame rate, well, what's the frame rate at in the base game already? Well, like, are we gonna want to do that?
Yeah.
Because are we gonna want to turn off those graphics? Like it's really weird. It reminds me of back in the day when my computer wasn't like fucking awesome, and I had to like sit there for like 30 minutes just like changing settings constantly just to find the right amount of good graphics versus
That
playable
sweet
gameplay.
spot, yeah.
And it's weird to me to do that for a console game. My personal experience with the Warframe thing, though, it was positive. I was playing the game, it played just fine, but every once in a while, especially on survival and shit like that, the game would start lagging every once in a while.
Especially with the infested missions, because those things
The
fall
infested
apart.
for sure, and then
Yeah.
the lighting effects, and you can go into the options and turn that stuff down, and the game still looks fine. It doesn't look as good, but it looks fine, and it did improve that stuff. So I thought that was a positive because it's something I was already used to. But at the same time, I'm wondering, could they have not have just worked harder on optimizing for console, or just not even putting it in if it was unplayable? But in that moment where there are, for the most part, most of the game is playable. Just every once in a while, there's parts. I don't know. I'm really torn on it. I'm not like, this is bad, this is good. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Well, we had the. Sorry, Chris. I mean,
Yeah.
well, we had we have the video with the beta, and I know you didn't have options to change the shit in the beta.
I didn't even check.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, like, I mean, and you're right. Like, you did bring up a really good point. It's like, why don't they just fucking like? I always assume that the console fucking game is optimized as best as it can
And it's
be.
not going to look like the PC. I never assumed
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So-
and it's never gonna look better. It's never, it's just how it is. And you're right, like fucking what is it? I mean, are we getting like a 5-frame boost, or are we getting like up to 10 or 20? I mean,
I'm assuming if they have to do this, it's going to dip below 30 frames per second. Because 30 frames per second is where you need it to be at.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is able to get that 60 frame per 2nd fucking sweet spot. That's why the game runs so well.
Yeah.
But
And most PS4 games run at 60. So.
yeah. But you can still pass a game off without people bitching at 30 frames per second.
Right.
But once it's dipping
Battlefield
below
does it all
that,
the time.
25, you start seeing that slowdown and shit. And then when people are chugging around, it's like 2015 and shit. But yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what's the native frame rate of the game standard? Like, I'm just curious. The information's, it sounds like a positive, and it probably is. And I just like having options. That's my thing. But at the same time,
I was just gonna say, I was like, do you think maybe it was like, it went gold, and then they were like, oh fuck, now there's like a frame rate issue. So then some genius in marketing was like, let's just make it so they can change the
put
fucking
the options
settings.
in there.
Yeah,
Real
let's just
quick.
make so we could change the fucking settings,
Yeah.
and we'll just pass it off as a good thing.
Maybe. What do you think, Chris?
Extra options, it's cool and all, but if you're gonna make a game for a console, make it run on the fucking console.
Yeah.
Don't give us this extra. Oh well, it could run at this, but it's kind of like an under saying you should run it at these settings, but this is what we've released it to you as.
I have a devil's advocate for that.
This is gonna be the whole episode.
If you have an older console that's been used and abused and like isn't running optimally anymore, it's
Sure.
going to have bogged down issues, and you can still play the game on an older console that has been used a lot and maybe can't perform at optimal performance anymore, though.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Then you don't get to play the game anymore.
Well, it's not fair to tell them go buy another, multiple $100
Supply and demand.
system. So
Didn't Nintendo kind of just do that?
no, not yet.
There's 3DSs.
Their new 3DSs, you have to have them for some games.
Can't
in
play
7
that
years.
Chrono or whatever.
Soon,
the game
Hyrule
is.
Warriors is going to come out, and then it's going to be probably a standard. So I mean, I don't really see that above many people's heads.
They did that already though when they jumped to 3DS games. For a while they were making games for the older consoles. Now they don't at all. Now you can only get 3DS games.
I don't know.
Yeah, more options is good. I would really like to see it run at maybe 30.
One point I wanted to make real quick though. I played the beta, and I'm assuming at the standard graphics because I didn't change anything in the options. The game ran perfect,
Yeah.
and I thought actually that it looked good, and I think you said that too.
Yeah.
The
I
game
said it
visually
too.
looks
Yeah,
good.
It looks nice.
So I'm just curious if there's like maybe if you get into like the PvP areas, it might start bogging down or something like that.
Right.
And in that case, I can understand if the game runs great, but you get into PvP and it starts kind of bogging down. You're like, well, fuck, I need to be on my shit when I'm fighting other people. I can get that. I'm just more so. It's just a curiosity. I'm wondering why, where at, do you need to use this?
yeah, exactly.
But again, it's better than them releasing a game that just has shitty frame rate and then going, well, fucking, that's the game. Sorry, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So, any last opinions on that?
Nah.
All right. For our next bit of news, GTA 5 has reached 60 million copies shipped. It's a new milestone for Rockstar's open world action game, and that's up from 54 million, which was a couple months back, I believe. This is actually from all consoles, so Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. What do we think of this crazy fucking amount of games sold? Because this surpassed Call of Duty.
There's going to be a Grand Theft Auto 6. Definitely. I mean,
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, yeah. No, they're definitely making a Grand Theft Auto 6. This, I mean, that's a shitload of copies sold, and I know it's across a lot of consoles or platforms, but I mean, shitload of people bought multiple copies, and it was actually worth it. I mean, you bought Chevy it for 360, then I ended up buying it for PS4,
Right.
and it felt like a brand new game almost.
it did. They added so much shit. Like
And the graphics were better, the first person.
Yeah,
added
maybe
to
not
it.
added, but like, or maybe not added a whole bunch of shit. But I mean, there was enough stuff in there to be like, wow, this is kind of neat. Like the world was more full of shit. I felt bad because I've ran over a few dogs. Yeah, they added ambient cats and dogs and shit.
Dude, I ran up to a cat and fucking just cracked it in the head with my foot.
That
Just like
first-person mode
it died instantly.
is
I felt
literally
horrible.
the most
I
visceral
think
thing
you can do it.
ever. The fucking dude, if you crack somebody in the head with a bat,
I
in first
really want to play
person,
that in fucking VR.
like fucking,
The first person.
you're like, I was like, ugh.
Okay, back on topic though, real quick. 60 million copies sold. What do you two think about it? Do you think that's reasonable? Do you understand why it sold so well?
Sure. Everyone likes Grand Theft Auto. They make an accessible game, and I'm really, to be honest, kind of underwhelmed by the news. So I just kind of expected it to be that kind of game. It got higher reviews on 5 different platforms for sale, and the holiday season just ended. So
Did you like Grand Theft Auto 5?
it was okay.
What do you think?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a well-known game. I have the original one. I still play it every now and then.
Yeah.
But
I actually traded mine in because I didn't play it. I wanted to, but I never did. I have other games I want to play.
I was actually really surprised though that it actually beat out Call of Duty.
Me too. I think the hype though behind it though really pushed it.
And I think part of the problem with that, problem with it is in general is that the market is flooded with FPS games. So
Absolutely.
like people have more diversity of what they can play now.
Plus, the multiplayer aspect of Grand Theft Auto was something really promising. It's almost pseudo MMO like, really cool. And I think people just kind of wanted something new when it came to online.
Yeah, and even when it jumped to, like, even the online was improved too. It went from rooms of having 15 people to rooms of 50.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that
huge
is
increase.
enough to make, like, you know, like almost little roving bands of, like, almost like in Red Dead Redemption.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it was an evolution of Red Dead
yeah,
Redemption.
exactly.
Let me propose a question because it's something that I'm thinking about. Do you think, obviously we know these sales means they're making another game. Do you think this threatens the idea of them making the games and they're done when they're done? Or are we going to see a push to release these games faster? Because we know they're going to make another one. They're going to want to make that money again. But do you think Rockstar will fold and start making games faster?
They've never shown that in the
Yeah,
past.
I've never seen that.
Their sales have always been really stellar, and they've always been the kind of company that's like, it's not done yet, so, you know, you guys can wait.
Well, they've always had that mentality too, very in the vein of their name, fucking like, we do what we want unapologetically. The game will come out when it comes out, and I think because of that hype, because they didn't wait too fucking long, and the amount of work they put into the game, people walking down the street, reading a newspaper, and throwing it in the trash can, regardless if you saw it, that kind of detail, I think, did pay off. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is not my favorite game of all time, but it was super fucking impressive technologically. And that's something that Rockstar almost seems like they're the kings of right now, is trying to push technology in certain ways of like ambient life in games and stuff like that, making things feel alive. I agree. I don't think they're gonna fold, but I was curious because with money you start thinking differently, and they've made money just fine.
Yeah, we
but,
can make some more money if we were to crack out another fucking
60 million copies sold. I mean, that's no one else
and
has done
their
it
first
in that one game.
solo DLC, single player DLC is coming out soon. Though the voice actor of Michael says he knows nothing about it.
Maybe he's not in it.
I was like, I don't know if that's just like a.
They're probably doing like a Ballad of Gay Tony type thing, where it's gonna be about someone else.
Could be. That'd be really cool. Maybe you interact with the characters.
Yeah.
That was what 4 did really well. Is the DLCs made that game. The original game was whatever, but the DLCs made it.
I'm just looking at Chevy, and he's just like not in this conversation.
Checked out.
He's got this blank stare over there. Like just
I've
waiting
never
patiently.
been that big of a fan of Grand Theft Auto, so.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of it when 3 came out because that changed my fucking life when it came to games. Like, you can do this.
No, they're technologically neat.
4 was underwhelming. 5, I was like, wow, they raised the bar. But I wasn't like, oh my god, best game ever. Because I you know, there's...
It was almost a disappointment after San Andreas. Just because, like, 4 was like, holy shit, this looks new, and like the new ragdoll.
4 reminded me of Doom in the sense that it was better looking and technologically better, but they went back to the base simplicity of what they started with because they put so much work into the technology they didn't have time to put work into the gameplay.
Yeah.
Like Doom 3 when it came out. It's a very basic shooter, looked amazing when it first came out. But yeah, 60 million copies, it's fucking insane. Definitely getting a GTA 6, like you said, and hopefully it's just as good, if not better. Anything else?
I imagine Red Dead's probably next, but yeah.
Oh no, and I'm fucking so stoked for that. But yeah. For our next bit of news, H1Z1, the originally pay for early access but to be free to play game, is now coming out with 2 separate versions. They've split the game into 2 games. Let's see. It's coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. But I don't actually know a whole lot about this, so fill us in, Josh.
Yeah, so the creators decided to take a look at what parts of the game that people were playing, and they decided that people play the Battle Royale mode, which is going to be one of the games on its own. It's like a competitive shooter, fast-paced, high-intensity, action-packed, they called it. Shooter a la Call of Duty, Battlefield, stuff like that. And then the other one is called H1Z1 King of the Kill. And then the other one, which is the base game as we know it now, is called H1Z1 Just Survive,
which is the base survival
that
game.
DayZ-esque survival game.
Okay, so a couple things I want to know from you guys is, first off, what do we think of a game that was originally supposed to come out as free-to-play, being turned into two separate games for the purposes you just said, and what are they now? $20 a piece?
They come out as $20 a piece when they release. If you buy the early access H1Z1 before February 14th, you get both of them for free, or you pretty much pay for one game. You buy one, get one.
Yes, you get both of them for the purchase. Okay. So, what do you guys think?
If you say it's going to be free to play, I want a free to play game. I'm not going to go out and buy it now. Fuck that.
If the game has enough for me to want to buy it, then I will. Of course, I haven't really followed this game a whole lot, but so I didn't even know. I thought it was just a buy game. But yeah, like I said, if it has the content and if they make it so it doesn't feel free to play, then I'll probably pay for it. It's $20.
Chevy?
This game's in early access, right?
Yep.
So, like Chris said, the flip-floppy bullshit is really stupid. They should have just made another game then at that point.
Like, have a free-to-play version and then have a pay-for version?
No, like, just make a separate game in general. Because, like, they told their community, which has been growing and playing the game and stuff like that, they're making a free-to-play game, and they turn around and tell everyone, oh, just kidding, we're going to charge you. I think that's stupid and completely silly and
Dishonest.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about this game besides the fact that it is just another survival game in the...
Let me give you guys some insight. So, the game came out in early access. They promised it was going to be free to play, but you could pay to get early access to it if you wanted to be in on it. So essentially, paying for a beta test.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that. I, being curious at the time, specifically in survival games, wanted to see what all the hype was about, because this was one of the 2 or 3 games that were supposed to rival DayZ, which I'm still skeptical anything's going to rival it anytime soon. But because I played a shitload of DayZ, so I paid for it out of curiosity. I played it for about an hour or two, and I realized it was pretty much DayZ Lite, which isn't necessarily bad, but because it's way more streamlined, but didn't have as much to it. So I was underwhelmed by that. But then they added the King of the Hill mode, which was interesting. It's like Battle Royale pretty much. You get dropped in, and the area shrinks, and you gotta survive. But yeah, I played it, and is already like a game with like a mode in it already. It's really interesting to see. First off, them back away from, hey, it's a free to play game, because it feels kind of like one. Mm-hmm. But also just take a mode and create a whole game based off of it, from my perspective, because I actually am the only one who bought the game and has played it. Do you think there's anything positive about the idea of having different development for both games?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see some positive to like being people who are strictly dedicated to making games for this first-person PvP shooter style. You can be a bit more focused on it, but
To me, it's what Rockstar did with Grand Theft Auto 5. They have a whole separate team working on just the online component, and it allows them to have more polish because they're just focusing on that one piece instead of both the pieces at the same time.
I would argue that you buy the whole package, though. Kind of.
yeah.
What you feel? I feel like you had something to say. Joe.
I did. So, this game, in the plan, right off the bat, one game, one package, right? Mm-hmm. They deviated. So they're not getting extra development time and focus. They're just now working on 2 games. So it's the same amount of people making the same content they're making anyways and packaging it with 2 bows instead of 1.
So they got greedy.
That's exactly what it sounds like to me.
I don't think it's greed.
Oh, really?
It's in early access. They can change whatever the fuck they want. You paid for it. Mm-hmm. You know what green lighting is. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they want to change it, then they can. They're not making you re-buy the game if you bought the early access version. I actually got an email
recently that said, hey, letting you know we are now changing the game into 2 separate games. because you bought early access, you get both of them for free, which I appreciated, but I didn't read it further into it.
I mean, to me, it didn't really fuck anybody. It just they're just changing their plan on how they want their game to
My
their
two
games
concerns,
B2B.
and I'll get to you in a sec, Chevy. My two concerns with it, though, is taking a game that's already one development team working on one game with a mode is now one development team being split into two development teams working on two separate games. So I feel like development's going to slow down on both games. They were both already okay. And one's a mode. So I'm curious on how that's going to go. But also, I'm really just hung up on the whole, it's supposed to be a free-to-play game, and then they backed away from that in a very shameless way. $40 isn't a whole lot, but like, when you're talking about, hey, it's going to be a free-to-play game, blah, 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 and then they're like, hey, we got two games, go and buy those. It's dishonest, first off, which isn't a big deal, but it is kind of, makes me think differently about a company. But also, for people who did not buy the early access, now they have two separate games. It's almost confusing to the consumer, in my opinion. So
I just think they get to now cherry pick what they want to play instead of, because that's I mean,
well,
look.
What's the benefits as a player of the game? What, I mean, who do you think is going to be buying one, not the other? This isn't like a challenge. I'm curious.
I actually might not buy the Survive.
You just want to do the PvP?
Yeah, I'd probably just play the fucking PvP.
Okay.
I've had my fill of DayZ games, and with DayZ how it is now, there's not even fucking zombies in the game, so I'm kind of done with that, with the genre.
They'll be there and then they'll go away and then
itself.
they'll be back and then they'll.
I mean, like, and so I probably won't even play that. I have literally zero interest in it at all. But the king of the battle royal mode, if they can flesh that out to a real game, I mean, that's been it's not the first time a Splinter mode has been fleshed out into a real game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see that a lot with the Source engine. I mean, you see that a lot with fucking shit like that all the time.
I want to hear from them, but since you're the biggest proponent of this, what do you think of them saying the free play thing and then backing away from that?
It is kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
But I mean, but again, I mean, if you bought it, you already bought it. I mean, like, if you had, I understand if people were like really like hovering close and like wanted to see how it filled out before they decided they wanted to play it or not. And that's kind of jacked up. But and I feel like they got screwed. But I feel like that demographic for those kind of that, you know, I think it's a very small group of people. I think it went either, yeah, we're in it, like you, yeah, we're not in it, like me. And then I think there was that very small group of people that may feel fucking kind of betrayed. With, you know,
well, as a guy who bought the game,
dishonest.
I get the games for free, but I still am like, I put money into their game, assuming
It was going to
that
be
there
a
was this
certain type
plan
of
already
game.
laid out. So it is weird. I don't get affected by it. But the idea of a company that can't make up their fucking mind.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
interesting.
Is like if you got screwed, that'd be.
Oh no,
fucking-
I'd be fucking completely
Yeah,
different
but
in my opinion. If
the
I was
people
like,
who put money into the game isn't
make
being
sure to buy
screwed
the
at all.
fucking second mode that you already had.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think?
What the
Okay,
early
yeah.
access cost?
It was $30.
So now, you say it's not greed,
Mm-hmm.
right? But now, someone who buys later, for the same experience, has to buy two games at a total of more of the price now, for something that was originally supposed to be free, with, I imagine, a microtransaction shop. So
Yeah.
the person holding out to play this game until it released, because not everyone's a fan of participating in early access and greenlight systems. They wanted to play a finished product. Now they have to buy it. And maybe it's off the table now for them. So I would argue it is greedy.
What if they just reconfigured their thought process on it? So, for instance, they were doing the free-to-play model, but they tested out the microtransaction shop, and they realized that it wasn't working for whatever reason. They weren't making enough, or people just weren't liking it. And maybe they decided to drop the microtransaction system and just look for a flat fee in a way that could almost benefit people if the microtransaction shop sucked.
But did they drop the microtransaction shop?
I don't think there was enough.
If they didn't, that's a whole other story.
Because, yeah, if they didn't drop it, then you are looking at greed. Basically, what you're looking at is then having all these people who paid for the beta, and like, oh my god, we've got a really big audience for this. we can make some money off this if we play this the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And by playing the right way, we can split the game up in 2 games. We can make double the money we were making already for the product that was 1.
Yeah.
It's totally greedy.
Besides the politician-esque like communication process they've gone through with this. Here's this one thing, but here's our real agenda. Like, I don't know.
I just think they've been like really. I'd read that whole thing, and they've been. It seems like it's more transparent than most would be.
And I will agree
not
that
saying
whether
that
it is
transparent.
greed or not, which I am leaning towards greed, it is nice that they are communicating it clearly, because we saw with the War Z a bunch of dudes who did a lot of questionable shit and didn't answer anyone and start silencing people. So it is good that if you are going to do something like this, you do communicate it clearly and let people know what's going on, so they can make those judgments and purchase what they want to purchase without being confused. This is a really good conversation, because we got a lot of different opinions on it. I'm kind of in between. You guys are obviously on one side. Josh is on one side. Will anybody buy any of these?
No.
I'll probably buy the Battle Royale version, honestly.
And I own both already, so
I do understand that if you don't want to pay the $40, you can buy the $20 now and get both, and get pretty much a buy one get one.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand that's like guys, now you have to shit or get off the pot before you pay fucking double. But at the same time, at least they said you could do that. I mean, it wasn't like, in 2 days from now you have to fucking decide. They're like, you got a week or so, and then and it's the day after. Then that's when the game
interesting
splits.
they didn't just go, hey, you bought it earlier, you get both. They're still allowing people to do that.
Yeah, exactly. You
But
have a
at
whole
the same
nother week.
time, and that seems fair, at the same time also it's a push to go, buy it now.
Buy now, and you get
Go,
another
go, go.
one.
Don't think about it. Buy
See,
it.
now I fully agree. That's kind of jacked up.
It's good and bad.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
just
necessarily
think
one or the
I
other.
just think if the game can fucking support 2 games, like I said, this isn't the first time a game's been splintered off of one mode. Whole playlists in Call of Duty and fucking
Whole
Halo
games that are super popular, Dota 2, are based off of mods.
based off of mods.
Right.
I mean, DayZ was a fucking mod. I mean, and it turned in to be its own game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with doing that.
Later
as
under
long as
separate
it's
development.
done. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, as long as it's done correctly, like they don't make if they flesh out the mode more instead of fucking leaving it instead of taking 2 fucking halves of a game and making it, now you have 0.5 of that game. If you flesh it out to make it an actual real fucking game, I don't see any issues with it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm conflicted with is the dishonesty, and the focus of the game seems lacking for them to be veering off so quickly. But we gotta end this topic because we're reaching 15 minutes alone on this. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below on this whole debacle, and let's get into the next bit of news. Pirating group 3DM has come together and said they're going to stop cracking single-player games to evaluate the impact on sales of single-player games. They're going to keep cracking multiplayer games, apparently, but they're going to stop doing single-player games because they want to see if it actually affects the market as much as people say it does. What do we think of this?
Be interesting to see what the results are.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's kind of a stretch to think that one group. I mean, I think another group might just come in and start pirating.
Well, other
the
groups are
fucking
definitely going to
game.
keep pirating the game or cracking it.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how big they are.
3DM's pretty big.
Okay.
I don't know them because I've never cracked a thing in my life, so I've never seen 3DM all over Pirate Bay. But I have. They're pretty big. Chevy.
I don't think it's going to make a difference because, like you said, someone else is just going to come along and do it anyways, and those people who would get their version are just going to jump to the next version. So unless they can communicate with every other group out there and tell them to stop.
Well, might be setting an
demographic.
example.
I suppose.
Because I think it is an interesting thing. We hear a lot that pirating hurts the company so much, but it seems like they're selling plenty still. So I think it's really interesting the people who are doing this for their own fucking reasons, cracking games just to do it,
right,
are stepping back from that to actually do some research on something that we only hear from one side, the side that makes the money.
I'm just saying the research is going to not be
Skewed? It's going to be skewed?
It's going to be flawed.
It's going to be flawed because everyone has to stop or no one stops. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
You have to have a control group.
And that's exactly it. There's no control. So,
Do you guys think pirating affects sales like a lot? Obviously, it has to. But do you think it really is as detrimental as companies make it out to be?
Drop in a bucket. It's I really don't think it's as detrimental. Like they're companies have never gone under because people have pirated shit. In fact, I actually respect companies that kind of embrace it. The people who made Broforce, didn't they jump into like a cracked file, or not a cracked file, but they gave a bunch of free keys
so they
away?
released the game, and it's really funny because I actually got to check this out firsthand. If you go onto Pirate Bay or whatever, and you go to download Broforce, the people from the company actually went there and posted things and said, hey, you know, you guys are stealing this from us, and that's fine, we get that. But we actually have a free version if you want to check that out first, and then maybe if you like it, maybe you could buy it.
yeah.
Which I thought was really progressive of them. Because they, like anybody, should be angry if someone's stealing their shit. But it was really interesting how they handled that. And that's actually, I think we did a video on the free-to-play version. Which was actually pretty fun.
Expendabros or something like
That's
that.
the reason we did it, is because like I had read that story and I was like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, they're doing it that way. So yeah, people adapting to pirating because it's a thing. 3DM also said recently that they speculate, but by 2018 there's going to be really good anti-crack software in games, and pirating is going to kind of go like the dodo. What do you guys think of that?
I think it's going to end up true. I mean,
really,
security just cracks down. I mean, there are times when, I mean, you could also say that, you know, cracking programs can just keep up with it. But I do believe something's going to happen where they're going to have like a kill switch on it. In fact, speaking of which, a little off topic, but have you heard of the Air 53 with the iPhones? Once you upgrade to the next system, was it iOS 9 or something like that? If it detects that your phone's been repaired by a third party, bricks it.
Wow, it's
bricks the whole fucking thing.
Kind of.
So I'm thinking that if there's like intense like nuclear fucking fail safes like that, then maybe. But I mean, I don't see it breaking your computer or anything like that. But you know what I mean.
I personally, because I like to make judgments based off of evidence typically, I don't see cracking stopping by 2018. It's insightful for a cracking group to or pirate group to say that. I'm curious on why they say that. But I think anything that's implemented by 2018 will be cracked later, because I've never seen anything that hasn't been cracked. There's no evidence of that. I mean,
if a person makes the anti-piracy software, a person will figure out how to get past the anti-piracy software.
Yeah.
If the people making the anti-piracy software make a program take care of that, someone will just make a program to deal with that program doing
and trick it and tell it, hey, everything's fine.
They may just slow down the process, but someone will figure it out. I mean, it's literally just a back and forth. I don't think there's an end in sight to that. So
Yeah.
I think that's wishful thinking.
I don't buy it either.
Yeah, it's the same with my personal story of, like, car got stolen a long time ago, and my mechanic's like, it doesn't matter how much security systems you put on there. If they want it, they will get it.
Yeah.
There's no stopping people.
When cracking groups are driven, they don't do it for money. They're driven by the idea of they did it.
The challenge.
And there's this competition in cracking groups that of who can do it first, who can do it better, and that's how hackers and people who make viruses are driven by, is who did it, who gets that fucking praise of I'm the one who did it. Yeah. So I think whatever comes out by 2018 that is threatening to pirate groups, they're going to be just as motivated, if not more, to crack that.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to believe that
It's like the guy who got a job at Google by going to Google's event where they say, hey, break our stuff, and he was like, done.
Yeah, and they gave him a job because they want that guy on their team.
I actually think that's a good idea. I think more companies should do that.
Progressive, you have to understand, and evolve with the times. You can sit there and bitch all day about what's right and wrong, but the best way to do it is to adapt and let it benefit yourself. And
Maybe
Google-
Sony won't get fucked by so many of their DDoS attacks.
Yeah.
They fucking did that.
By letting them do it.
Yeah. and
Just keep doing it. It's fine.
yeah.
Just make a separate server. You guys can DDoS that. That's fine.
I've gotten like 4 fucking emails in the past year saying like, hey, we're giving you like an extension to your PS Plus fucking account because you couldn't play it for one fucking day because some asshole was just DDoSing the shit out of everything.
Well, at least they're making it right. But I mean, yeah, as far as the piracy thing goes, I don't think their sales are affected that much. I at least with the AAA companies, I think indie companies have a harder time with it.
Definitely.
I think a good example was recently the guy who the person who made Braid, their new game,
The Witness.
The Witness, yeah.
That one
Can't believe the game's actually out.
is apparently a really good game, but he priced it at $40, and people don't seem to be willing to spend that. So the piracy number's pretty up to the point
It's a
where
steep number for an indie game.
it is, and so the piracy amount is really high on that game.
He
Makes
probably thought his credit for making Braid and games like that probably was.
He's been working on it for fucking
He's probably
years.
thinking like, oh, I could slap these idiots will play anything I make.
Well, and
so
he
I'll fucking-
supposedly spent the money from Braid to make this game. So
Yeah. No, I've watched documentaries with him in it, and he is definitely just trying to make a fun game that he wanted to make. He's not driven by the corporate greed. I understand the $40 because he's trying to make some money off of it. He has to make the money back. But it makes sense because $40 in indie games is $60 in AAA games. So makes sense.
That's really fucking steep to me. $40.
It's got to be really fucking promising looking if it's an indie game and it's $40. Like, I got to be like, I really want to fucking play that. Like,
Yeah.
a game like Vermintide or something like that, even though that wasn't even $40.
That was 30, and
Yeah.
same with Killing Floor 2. That was 30. I mean, Killing Floor 2. I don't think is.
I wouldn't spend $40 on Killing Floor 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Yeah. Okay. Any other opinions on that?
That was kind of.
All right. Let's move into the last bit of news.
Myriad.
Blizzard recently surveyed people on Reddit asking if people would be interested in paying for a higher price ticket when the Warcraft movie comes out, and get all the expansions that are out for WoW with it. There's also some other content you would get with it. They haven't set a price yet, but they're asking if people are willing to do that. So imagine you're going to see Warcraft. You can pay the normal price and see it, but you can also pay an extended price, get all the expansions that are already out for the game, give you an incentive to go home and play that, which is a crazy advertising
That's
thing to do.
quite genius almost.
And another thing I want to say real quick is I just read recently that WoW is actually down to 5.5 million subscribers, which is insane because last time I heard it was like 8 or 9. So
What was their max numbers?
12
something.
point something.
So I mean, they're down fucking
A shitload.
7 million people.
And they just said that they're going to stop releasing numbers because I think it's hurting them.
yeah.
But what do we think about the advertising, the price point of, getting that package? And do you think that'll bring people into it with Warcraft freshly on their mind watching the movie?
I think it'll be. Oh, go ahead, Chevy.
Well, I was just gonna say it's very an outside the box idea, which is kind of neat. Do I think it'll work? On some people, probably. I know a lot of people who did the Diablo 3 deal that Blizzard did, where I can't even remember now. You bought one of the expansions and you got Diablo 3 with it, I think, or something like that. And it worked. They sold a ton of them. So I think this, in the long run, will work as a good bandage. So
Yeah, I feel like you're going to see a little rise,
yeah.
but it's not going to fix it. I
No.
mean, MMOs are already in a hole, kind of on the down slope.
Yeah.
Because we need innovation in MMOs. The same tried and true mechanics in MMOs are great, but I feel like we've been doing it for so long now that the excitement is gone.
Right.
And the biggest thing I've said since the beginning is the social aspect of MMOs is the reason why people play them. If you can't get people to play it with you, you're not going to keep playing it. And when you're seeing WoW dropping in numbers to the point of 5.5, it says a lot. Because WoW is I'm not a fan of WoW, but it is a very well-made MMO. It's just really interesting to see that kind of almost investment of making a movie and hoping that can kind of rise it. But I do think it's going to help for a second. But I think that decline is more of a statement, a testament to the climate of MMOs in general.
Right.
People are getting bored. I mean, it's...
I think they got bored.
Yeah,
already.
I mean, and I believe, first off, I think a ticket is $20.
If the ticket is $20?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just rounding up
Okay,
here. I mean,
yeah.
tickets or whatever. But I think it'll be close to $60, $80.
Oh, wow.
For all the expansions, because there's 4 of them.
I don't think it would surpass 40.
4 or 5, I can't remember anymore.
I think it's gonna be close to that.
Really? I think that they're desperate enough right now, and the expansions have been out for long enough that they could do between $20 to $40 for that ticket. Because people going to the movies, they're trying to get people who don't play the game, really. Because if you're going and seeing the movie and you already have the expansions, you're not going to buy that ticket. So you got to sell to people who are not already into the game. They're going to watch the movie, go, this is neat, hopefully, and then they're going to want to play the game, possibly. So you got to sell to them, and I don't think you can sell that ticket to people for $60.
I also think that I think it is going to give them a little spike. But I think I think those people who buy that ticket thinking like, I'm going to play the fucking game, they're not going to stick with the fucking game. Because if you play an MMO, you know you're going to fucking play it. I don't know a whole lot of people. Like, I was always very on the fence about WoW, and then I played it, and then I was fucking done with it. I never stuck with it. Of course, that's me with a lot of MMOs. I'm always on the fence about whether I really want to play it or not. And then I don't. I mean, I don't, and I think that is probably going to happen with a lot of the Warcraft ticket sales too, is they're going to play it and be like, this is kind of neat, but whatever, and then not play it ever again.
Chris, what do you think? You've been quiet this whole conversation.
It just sounds like a last-ditch effort for a company that's circling the drain.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh crap, we got to get people to play this game. Let's get people who've never
It's a
played it, who are
last-ditch
seeing this
effort.
movie. Yeah. Because, I mean, like you were saying, the numbers are way down.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. I mean, I was addicted to Warcraft back in the day, and then at a point it was just like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over.
Can I say one thing?
No.
I don't know.
So Chevy, what's a monthly subscription to WoW?
I think it's
About
$15 a month.
Times that by 5.5 million, and I don't really find that. Did you mean the company is circling the drain or the game?
The game. I mean,
The
Okay.
game is. They're doing
Okay,
fine.
yeah, I was
the
like,
company's fine.
I was
But-
like, Blizzard's doing.
Not to make this about capitalism, but capitalism and it being a corporate company, you had 12 million people, you're down to 5. That is a huge fucking sin.
Oh no,
You
it is a
have to
huge
fix
hit.
that.
It is a huge hit.
Especially with them canceling Titan. They don't have anything to remedy that.
Right.
And fucking Overwatch isn't gonna fucking make that up.
I
Overwatch
don't
is
think
you
so.
buy it and you play it. That they are still making plenty of money, and that's a successful MMO. But it's not the fucking granddaddy fucking king of shit that fucking WoW was.
No, they just need to stay over
And-
2 million to keep being profitable, I believe. So.
Yeah. So they have to try and fix that. They have something that worked. They're not going to let it go. They have to make that fucking. They have to
Yeah,
fix
but
it.
when is it time? I mean, like
Now.
Blizzard doesn't seem like to me the kind of company that would just fucking hang on until it's fucking literally nothing.
But Activision is.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
And as much
I
as
forgot they were owned by Activision.
People
Partnered.
Partnered.
Much as people want to think that Blizzard has a shitload of control, Activision has expectations.
Big time.
They're the reason why they have to make all the new IPs. I know they would eventually, but Activision really pushed
Hearthstone
that.
and Overwatch are products of Activision telling Blizzard that in the next blank amount of years, I can't remember, you have to produce 5 more products.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so creative
Sure.
is what this is. And I'd be curious to see the result because no one's done this before. So,
Any more opinions on that? All right. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think of this whole thing with the Warcraft movie, getting expansions with the movie ticket. Would you buy that if that was offered to you? Let us know in the comments below. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to check out all the videos we've made prior to this. There's a shitload. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this episode. Check us out on Tumblr and Twitter, Tasty Loot Gaming. Check us out on Twitch, Sleep Division. And yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Josh.
Chevy.
I'm Chris.
Stay tuned for the rest of the week, and until the next episode, we'll see you guys later.